Hey everybody, thanks for joining us today. We're going to be talking in a minute to Zana Morris, and today we are going to be talking about creatine. So Pure Creatine is one of the products that we have here within Strong Nutrients, and we're going to find out a bit more about from Zana about why we should be taking it, who should be taking it, and the benefits that we can have from it. So I shall just invite Zana in. There we go. Hello. Hi there. How are you?
Very good. Thank you. How are you doing?
Yes, I'm good, thank you. Not too bad. Now, we're going to talk today about creatine, which is one of the supplements that we have here at Strong Nutrients. Now, interestingly, I've just had a DM come in from one of our customers, and she said that her son, who is studying sort of science and fitness, and he says it just makes your muscles look big. And she says that's not what she wants. So we're here today to talk about creatine, to really understand why it's more than just a supplement that you need when you're working out or for someone that does want to get bigger muscles.
It's a great line. That it's funny. Just to be very clear, I've been in the fitnesses and training clients for, oh my gosh, I mean, certainly from the training side of things, 20 years. I mean, in the health industry for 30,
Yeah.
and selling creatine for 30. And in all of this time, most of my clients have been women. Not all now, but not in any shape or form, but most. I
Yeah.
had 3 gyms in central West London,
Hmm.
and we used to do weighs and measures on clients all the time. So most were women of a certain age, between sort of like mid 30s to maybe early 60s. That would have been the majority. Now, not all in any shape or form. We'd
Yeah.
younger, we'd older, we'd men as well. And we used to do weighs and measures. So the measuring tape would go around the arms, the biceps, the quads on the legs, they'd go around the waist, they'd go around the hips, and we do the calipers. And I can promise you, I had almost every woman I got my hands on creatine, and their muscles didn't get bigger. That's 20 years of doing it.
Yeah.
So no, your muscles don't get bigger just like that, but it does
Yeah.
protect the lean body mass. It
Yeah.
does protect it, so it helps prevent it breaking down. But we're going to come
Right.
into that further.
Okay.
Here we go. Yes, but
Well,
I love that.
we've already had some questions come in. So just to let everyone know, please ask any questions on these lives. And what we'll do is, as Zana and I are going through towards the end, we will make sure that we come back and answer any questions so that we cover everything. So first up, I would, being completely honest, it's one of the supplements I don't fully understand from the range. So it would be really good to just understand what is creatine.
Creatine, it's part of a protein. So let's start from the beginning. So protein is a macronutrient. So you've got protein, you've got carbohydrates, you've got fats. Protein is what, it's fish is a protein food. Meat is a protein food. Your vegetarian sources of protein could be cheese or eggs, and your vegan sources could be lentils, like your plant-based ones. They're basically foods high in protein, which breaks down into amino acids, which are then the building blocks of our entire body, quite frankly, all of us.
Yeah.
Now, then there's these sort of more micronutrients, if you like. And in this case, you're talking about creatine. Creatine is made up of 3 of those amino
Right.
acids. So it's not a complete food. It's a part of one, if you like. And it exists within a lot of these protein foods, but mainly the fish and meat variations.
Okay.
So you go and have 100 grams of salmon, you're getting about a gram of creatine in there naturally.
Right.
So it's
Okay.
already happening. But unfortunately, it doesn't exist in the lentils, if you
Okay.
like.
No.
So you're getting it in, particularly fish and meat is a nice little source of it.
Right.
So it's more of a micronutrient as opposed to one of these big macro ones that has a benefit, like so other micronutrients all on its own.
Right. Okay. So we already are, a lot of us are already taking it on board anyway. What are the benefits of having it?
It is, okay, it's involved in more than this, but the big thing it's involved in is the creation or building of this thing called ATP. These are our energy molecules, if you like.
Okay.
Your mitochondria in your cell use them, create them, use them to give you energy and stamina when you're doing training. But even just if you're running around day to day, your body can use it. If you're doing a sprint for a bus, for example, Your body uses ATP, or it's ultimately creatine stores behind that, to give you the stamina to run for the bus. Do you ever notice when you suddenly sprint, it's only when you stop, you suddenly then go,
Yeah.
it's
Catch
not when
it.
you're running, it's just when you get there.
Yeah.
So the oxygen cycle kicks in next. It's the creatine ATP cycle first, then the oxygen cycle second, to give you
Right.
the energy to do it. So when you do any form of high intensity training, which could be as simple as running for a bus, quite frankly, your body uses creatine. That said, it's so much more. It seems to protect the muscle mass, the lean body mass, which we lose at quite a rate as we age. From the age of 30, it's about a half a pound of muscle a year, but quite frankly, that accelerates as we get older. So it's not as clear cut as that. As we get into our 60s, we're losing it faster.
Yeah.
So it helps protect the lean body mass, helps protect the muscle. Our brains, though, also use this ATP for energy, for memory, and kind of functioning, if you like, particularly as we get older, particularly through menopause as estrogen levels drop.
Yeah.
It switches from the using the estrogen, it appears, into using ATP, and creatine is one of the biggest ingredients, if you like, of ATP. So
Okay.
very short line is, it's great for stamina, it's great for recovery from training, it's great for protecting lean body mass at any age, and
Yes.
it's great for brain functioning.
So in terms of who can take it, it is a real wide range. It isn't
But
just you're hitting the gym, you're working out, then you need to take it.
yeah,
Any age, so the elderly, all of that, they can take it as
it's
well.
exactly that. So traditionally it was exactly lads, as we'd say in Ireland, like this lady's son, that would have been taking it. It
Yeah.
really was. Traditionally, it was all the the teenagers and the 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23-year-old,
Yeah.
particularly boys that were trying to build and bulk up, that were
Yeah.
taking it. Rugby players took it. Wrestlers took it. The ones that were trying to build muscle mass for strength. But actually, it wasn't that the creatine itself, in my experience, was bulking them up. It did help build the muscle. And honestly, if you're that age and you've got the testosterone going and you're eating loads of protein, you're doing loads of training,
Yeah.
yes, it's going to build the muscle. But
Yeah.
most women I know aren't training like rugby players, and they're
No.
certainly eating like them. So we're just
Yeah.
not. So they were using it to help build the muscle and get their stamina and their strength up.
Yeah.
But quite frankly, even now, I'm not recommending the supplement in this instance, but even a 5-year-old having salmon is getting
Yeah.
creatine in there.
Yeah.
Even they're using it. It protects the lean body mass. And in my experience, it's actually more important for a woman, and as we get older, and the vegetarians and the vegans, than it is just for the people training in the gyms.
Okay.
You get lovely benefit when you're training in the gym, because you can see it, you can feel it within even just days of taking it. You can feel a difference in
Yeah.
how you train. You recover faster, your stamina is better. They also say it's very good for fat loss. And again, I think it's just because we train better.
Yeah.
And anything that protects lean body mass is going to help the body's metabolism, because lean muscle is active. It helps us burn the fat.
Yeah. Okay. And obviously, like we've said, we have it within our food. We can take the supplements, but does our body store it? So do we
Yes,
keep
so
up a supply? Do
it's
we need to just top that up?
great
How does it work?
question. Now, I'm going to be straight up. I'm not sure if there's any very solid research. Now, I'm open for correction on this now. And there could well be, that says exactly how much creatine we need.
Yeah.
So to put it this way, our bodies produce a little bit. We
Right.
get a little bit on our diet if we eat fish and meat.
Yeah.
And your body does seem to store it. But every time you go run for that bus, for example, you're going to use up some of those stores.
Okay.
How much you need would probably depend on how much you train, how much you exercise, what age you are.
Yeah.
So, for example, as they say, in perimenopause, menopause, as estrogen levels drop, our body relies on it more. So at that stage in life, you might need it more than when you were maybe 28.
Yeah.
At 30 or 48, you might need it more. Vegetarians and vegans, if they're not eating any fish or meat, may need to get more in, if
Yeah.
you like, because they'll have used up their stores and they won't be replenishing them. They won't have the ingredients, if you like, to replenish
Yeah.
it.
Okay. And how with our one, how much do we recommend that people take, and how can you take it?
So on our label, for anyone who has it, will notice that we say 1 teaspoon a day, or you can do this loading phase of 2 teaspoons a day.
Okay.
So just to clarify this, 1 teaspoon is 5 grams.
Mm-hmm.
The 2 teaspoons is 10 grams a day for 4 or 5 days. But traditionally, when I worked in this industry, we always recommended 4 teaspoons a day for the first 5 to 10 days.
Right. Okay.
then 2 teaspoons a day thereafter.
Okay.
So we were recommending double that
Yeah.
on an ongoing basis.
Yeah.
And so you could ask, well, why would I go double or why would I go half? Well, when we were traditionally doing it, most of us were training, and most of the people we're talking to were using it for training.
Yeah.
So they were going to be using up their stores very quickly.
Okay.
So the 1 teaspoon a day just on an ongoing basis seems to work exceptionally well.
Okay.
It seems to work very, very well. And exactly like you asked, the stores can build up a little bit.
Yeah.
So that seems to work superbly well.
Okay. So just, and when you take it, if you take it regularly, what happens if you missed it for a couple of days? Does that have side effects or anything?
Nothing whatsoever. It's a bit like eating salmon every day and then not.
Yeah.
Kind
Okay.
of mentality. It's part of a food. So there's no side effects to stopping it at all. Your body will have stores that it'll probably have built up and it'll gradually use those. What you'll notice if you stop it for a while and then you restart it, and particularly if you do any exercise, this is where you notice it very quickly. You'll suddenly go, oh my gosh, I'm going for longer. It's like you're fitter.
Right. Okay.
It's suddenly like, it really is.
That's
If
a
you do
great
any kind
feeling.
of, it kind of is. If you do any kind of HIIT classes, for example, and
Yeah.
you're doing them quite regularly, and suddenly you start creating, you'll suddenly be in it thinking, I can keep going.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm not getting tired now where normally I would. It's that kind of a feeling. It's like you're just that little bit fitter.
Perfect. Perfect. That's what we need. Um, a question that sort of comes up quite a lot is the difference between creatine and casein.
Yes. So great. That's a great question because that does come up a lot. And a lot of my clients
Yeah.
will get completely confused when I say, are you taking creatine? They'll go, yes, I am, and show me the casein.
Yeah.
So understandably, they both begin with
And
C.
they're a
Um,
powder, so
they're both a white powder as well. Well, if you're having the vanilla ones, they are.
yeah.
So casein is a complete protein.
Right.
Casein is food, quite frankly. It's the same protein you get in cottage cheese
Yeah.
or yogurt, and it can replace other protein foods. It is just food. Casein, the protein powder, honestly, a 4-year-old could take if they wanted to, in the same way a 4-year-old could take cottage cheese or a cheddar cheese. There's no harm, or yogurt, anything like that. It's just pure protein food. That's
Yeah.
all it is.
So I make protein powders for my 9 and 7-year-old. When they come home from school, they'll have a vanilla protein shake with like banana in or peanut butter, and they absolutely love that. But I don't ever put the creatine
Yes,
in that. When I
no.
make mine, I do, but I don't for them.
Yes, well, that's perfection because I don't
Yeah.
think they need the creatine. Quite frankly, I think they've enough
No,
ATP and energy.
enough.
I don't think they need any more, is my guess.
Yeah,
But the
no,
protein
especially.
for them is
Yeah.
great because it's not just the protein; it's the calcium in it too. So it's great.
Yeah.
And putting the creatine, because that's where I will often do it. I'll put the creatine into the protein.
Yeah.
And for us lot, as we get a bit older, I think is hugely helpful. The creatine, as I said at the beginning, it's part of a protein. It's not an essential macronutrient. You don't need it to live, but it does make a big difference to how you live, if you like,
Yeah.
in terms of the stamina and the energy. But it's only part of a protein. It's a separate supplement. Obviously great, as I mentioned, for all the other little benefits it has. It's like a catalyst. It's an
Yeah.
ingredient into that ATP
Yeah.
and helps the body function that bit
Yeah.
better. It's not essential to life. Whereas I'm not saying casein is essential to life, but protein is essential to life.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And just sort of whilst we're thinking about taking it, so we can't put creatine in with like a hot coffee, could you? But you could put it in with warm.
Yes. There's 2 things not to do with creatine. If you put it into hot coffee or tea, a hot drink, or if you mix it up in water and leave it sitting there,
Right.
the benefit vanishes. Years and
Right.
years ago, there used to be these drinks that had the creatine in it, as an already made up, sitting on the shelves in shops. And they didn't realize that after 24 hours, there's no creatine in there anymore. It
Oh,
wasn't.
no.
It was of no value. They're just having expensive drinks.
Yeah.
Probably good
Yeah.
placebos, but nothing else. Hot drinks will kill it off,
Yeah.
as will leaving it sitting in a liquid. But I mean, if you left it sitting there for 10, 15 minutes, it's not going to vanish. It's just more if it was there for hours.
Yeah.
And warm, as you say, is absolutely fine. And for those who take creatine, you may have noticed if you put it in a warm drink, it'll dissolve. But if you put it in a cold one, it doesn't. It's grainy, but it doesn't taste of anything, which
Right.
is why I like it in yogurt or protein shake, because you just don't notice it at all.
No.
It just vanishes.
No. And does it break a fast?
No. And this is very similar to the casein versus creatine question. Casein would, it's
Yeah.
protein, it's a full food, that would
Yeah.
break a fast.
Okay.
Creatine doesn't, because it's only one of these micronutrients, in the same way collagen shouldn't break a fast, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
They're all parts of protein,
Yeah.
they're not complete proteins.
Okay. So that's fine. So you could wake up in the morning whilst you're fasting, put some in some water and drink it, and that
Yeah,
would be fine.
you could.
Perfect.
You could put. Do you know what I often do as well? I might have some if I'm training, particularly if I'm training in the morning. I might have a little bit of coffee. Now, obviously, I won't let it go too hot, and put the creatine into that
Okay.
before I train, and then I get the caffeine and the creatine hit.
A double hit. Yes, just interrupting there. We will be saving all of the videos. They're always available on the Strong Nutrients page. So yes, it will be here later. One of the benefits you sort of touched upon, like memory. So we have I don't know if people are aware, but we have a number of stacks here at Strong Nutrients. That is where we group together a few products within like a bundle, targeting specific concerns or extra support. So one of them is the memory stack that we have. Now that has our Antarctic krill, our magnesium rocks, and it also has the creatine in it, doesn't it?
Yes, yes. Oh, for me, creatine is one of these really fun supplements, because when I started in this business, and we did sell, I was working in a health store 30 years ago, and we did sell creatine then. And then I got more involved in the actual training side with clients and dealing with the clients direct. And in those days, you mentioned creatine, and exactly as what you said at the beginning, with this lady's son, exactly that.
Yeah.
If people knew what creatine was, they thought, oh my gosh, is that not just for people trying to bulk up, bodybuilders, those kind of guys? I mean, is it even safe? And the more research, and there's so much, creatine is one of the most searched for questions, as in what is creatine on the internet. It's one of the most searched for supplements on the internet. It's really high. The research on it is huge. There's more and more and more research coming out, both as to how safe it is, but also the other benefits to it.
Yeah.
And the benefits being the memory one as well. So when I started, it was all about protecting lean body mass. So when you train, you break down muscle, let's protect it and do everything we can. And that'll get you into shape faster, to get you training for more intensity, and so on and so forth. But now more and more and more, it's all about the brain health, and how it impacts the memory and recall and that side, particularly in older adults and vegetarians and vegans.
Right.
So weirdly, if you were a 23-year-old vegan about to start, going in for exams for uni, get some creatine.
Okay.
If you think about it that way, which to me
You
is,
won't be getting enough from the food that you're
well,
taking.
you won't be getting any if you're
Well,
vegan.
yeah,
You'll be
yeah,
getting,
that's true.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
But
there'll
if
be
you're
none of that.
vegetarian, you
So,
won't always be.
but
So yeah,
yeah, so it's suddenly you're going to
yeah,
get this extra creatine into the body that your body will have been lacking, and that will potentially help the memory, and the research says it
yeah,
does. So I think that's what I find super exciting about it. It's one of these supplements that seems to keep on giving.
yeah,
The more research they do, the more they find the extra benefits.
yeah.
Yeah, it's really helpful. And then yes, we have the other ones. They all work slightly differently. The Antarctic krill has the benefit over regular fish oils, and there's benefits to regular fish oil, so I'm definitely not knocking them at all now. There's pros and cons to all sorts of directions you go in, but the benefit of Antarctic krill is that it has this naturally occurring astaxanthin in there, which is an antioxidant and seems to help transport the EPA DHA oils into the brain. It seems to pass that blood-brain
Okay,
barrier as
okay,
such.
yeah,
And that seems to help the brain cells soak in your DHA and EPA, which is essential for memory and brain functioning. So that's got that benefit there too. And then interestingly, without going into this one too much, magnesium, and I'm only don't want to go into it because that's a whole live on its own,
yeah.
our lovely magnesium that so many, dare I say, women, and putting me in this bracket of a certain age, will take. But
Favorite.
honestly, men of a certain age can take it too. Anybody, we all need magnesium. Everybody needs magnesium. Apart from all the other benefits of magnesium, where it seems to have a support on hormonal balance, dealing with use of estrogen and so on and so forth, helping regulate, or the body's proper regulation, if you like, of melatonin and all these things. Magnesium is also essential for creating ATP. So it's
Okay.
another one that helps,
Yeah.
and therefore kicks off and can help with the brain fog side, but because of its multiple impacts, and basically brain functioning side, but particularly many find it very useful for getting rid of brain fog.
Okay. Okay. So combine the three together.
They're all working in three different
Yeah.
ways, which makes it quite entertaining.
Yeah, brilliant. We've sort of touched upon older adults and the benefit that it has, sort of more to the elderly. But in terms of the amount that you take, would you recommend that an older adult just takes the 1 teaspoon a day, and then if you are doing active training, then that's when you increase it?
You could do it. I think 1 teaspoon a day, if regularly taken, will work super well.
Mm-hmm.
And exactly like that. Because oh my gosh, so many and that older adults, I don't know what age older adults starts at, just to be clear.
Yeah.
For anyone listening, I'm not sure what age we're kicking off with this one, but they like to call it, they like to say older adults now in research studies rather than the elderly.
Yeah.
So I think that's anything from 40 plus, quite frankly, right the way up,
Yeah.
all the way through.
Yeah.
But I think a teaspoon a day works well, unless, exactly as you say, you're doing a lot more training. And in my experience, a lot of older adults in their not just 60s, 70s, but into their 80s plus do a lot of exercise. There's more and more doing proper weight training,
Yeah.
which I think is awesome, dare I say, to use a very American word. I think it's
Yeah.
awesome, really, really do. And oh gosh, if you're falling into that bracket, then you absolutely could take 2 teaspoons a day.
Yeah.
Just take it twice a day. Creatine surprisingly works very well. We were saying how to take it. It works very well in things like fruit juice, orange juice.
Okay. Yeah.
The little bit of a sugar hit with creatine helps get it into the body, make use of it. There's a little bit of an insulin rise with that helps the body use it. So if you are someone that does take, some people have freshly squeezed orange juice, for example, in the morning. Put the creatine in that.
Okay.
That works super well. Super well.
Okay. I've written down a couple of sort of side effects that people have messaged me to ask previously. So I thought it would just be good to try and cover a
Yeah.
couple of those off. So obviously we've explained that it doesn't necessarily bulk you out, but some people mention that they're concerned about weight gain,
Yes.
that they've sort of been told that if you take it, you'll gain weight.
Okay, we've got to differentiate this. From the age of 30, we're losing. Now, this, I cannot hammer this one home strongly enough. And I really mean it. It was the only message I got across in my lifetime that people actually understood. I would feel I achieved something. We're losing 0.5 pound of lean body mass a year from the age of 30, give or take. Now, that's all of our lean. And think of lean body mass is not just the muscle on our arm or leg. It's not just the muscle of the back that's supporting your spine. It's not just the muscle of the neck that's supporting your head. It's lean body mass, which means your heart, your brain, your lungs, your organs, your thyroid. You know, the people talk about thyroid issues. If you're if your thyroid's wasting away, of course you're going to have hormonal imbalances, and so on and so forth. That in its essence is what aging is.
Okay.
So once we get past the age of 30 in particular, we should be watching our weight like a hawk, not about fat loss necessarily, although that is one area, but also about making sure we are not losing or more to the point, we are recovering or doing everything we can to recover our lean body mass. In other words, we should be looking for weight gain.
Yeah.
Quite frankly. Now, I don't mean getting big or bulky.
No.
If between the age of 30 to the age of 50, our bodies are acting like they say our bodies are acting, and we're losing 0.5 pound muscle a year, we have lost 10 pounds of lean body. So if you were to gain just 1 pound of that back, you've returned back the aging clock by 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
So does creatine cause you to gain weight? It may cause you to recover some lean body mass.
Yeah.
And for me, that is the best thing in the world you could be doing for your body. You will not gain fat. Lean body mass, muscle is active tissue. So you burn fat with it. So in other words, the more lean body mass you have, the higher metabolism will be, the better your energy will be, and the less fat you will have on.
Yeah. Okay.
So in answer to the question, it's very possible. You're not much now, at most 1 or 2 pounds in my experience, at most. With the creatine on its own, you may not even notice the difference at all. But if you do, you should be going, yay, hey.
Yeah.
This is
Not,
good.
yeah. Okay. And cramping, some people have mentioned that they
Yes.
cramping.
Out of all the side effects that get mentioned, in my experience, now I honestly, I've been, for want of a better way of putting it, selling creatine, if you like, or encouraging people to take creatine for 30 years now. And I have talked to a lot of customers and a lot of clients over that time.
Yeah.
So what I'm about to say next is not just me haphazardly saying I tried it and this is what happened. This is really dealing with a lot of people. To begin with, when it comes to bigger side effects, and I'm going to come back to the cramping one, the research, oh, it's overwhelmingly in favor of creatine and it not having any major issues to the body at all now.
Yeah.
It is a natural food, as in part of a food.
Yeah.
This is not a drug. This is not a steroid. This is nothing weird and wonderful. This is something you get every time you, as I said, have a piece of salmon.
Yeah.
So it is just a food. Some people now, I'm not saying this just for the sake of saying it, and I said this to you when we spoke before on this. Some people, but it's a very, very small minority, do get a little bit of cramping with it.
Yeah.
Now, I really mean, oh my gosh, I could count in less than one hand 30 years of talking to clients on this and customers of people experiencing this. It's very rare. And what I would say is if you did, take a fraction of the amount initially. So maybe
Okay.
take a quarter of a teaspoon,
Right.
do that for a week, 10 days, then build it up to half.
Okay.
Just build up your tolerance, almost like any supplement, just build it up.
Yeah.
And you may find, quite frankly, if you took a quarter of a teaspoon all the time, that might do the trick.
Yeah.
You don't need more.
Okay. Yeah.
Over time, you
Yeah.
won't, as such.
Yeah.
Take it with food can help as well, because sometimes people will take, because creatine doesn't have to be with food. It can be at any time. But
Yeah.
sometimes if you get cramping with any kind of a supplement, if you take it, because you can get cramping with almost any supplement on an empty stomach, some
Right.
more than others.
Yeah.
And if you just take slightly less with food, that doesn't happen. It just
Thanks.
absorbs and works with the food. So
Okay.
that's all I would recommend doing in those cases.
Okay. All right. So yeah, if that doesn't, and also I guess if you were taking the memory stack, that would work quite well because the magnesium helps support the cramping. So it would
Potentially, yes.
fit.
Potentially,
Yeah.
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 Potentially.
Perfect. So another question was, should it be taken away from food? But you've answered that one. And we've touched upon, can it be added to coffee as well? So just a couple of other questions that we had. How does it support post-menopause?
Oh gosh, I mean, that's almost as good as it gets in the sense of postmenopause. Okay, the hormonal levels tend to have stabilized, if you like, but particularly as we age, it appears that the brains really do rely more and more on ATP.
Yeah.
So that creatine is essential for that. And honestly, creatine is something, and I'm not saying this lightly, I have and do recommend for my parents,
Yeah.
as in it's really worth it for helping protect that lean body mass. The lovely thing, and you touched upon this earlier, is you can start and stop it. It's
Yeah.
not something that if you do for a few weeks or a few months and then you forget to take or stop for a few weeks or a few months, that you'll have any side effect. You won't at all. You'll just dip down a bit and then you can build it up again. So you can cycle it too. You don't need to, but you can.
Yeah.
So my recommendation would be genuinely try it.
Yeah.
Just think,
Yeah.
it's one supplement. Some supplements out there you can take, there's benefit to it because the research says there is, but you may not feel it. Whereas other supplements, you feel it. And creatine's one of those, in my experience, you feel it.
You feel it. You know.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm just going to have a little look here at some of the questions. Now, someone did ask, I saw it was earlier, that why is it banned in some countries? I think the lady
I tell
in
you exactly why.
France.
It's not anymore, to my knowledge. The French banned it in professional sports, and decades ago it was banned in professional sports. And the reason for this is a great one. It's not a bad one. It's a great one. I think this is brilliant. It's because it was so effective.
Right.
So,
Okay.
for example, rugby players that took it
Yeah.
versus those that didn't had an actual, genuine, recognizable
Yeah.
advantage
Yeah.
that they had to take it out because
Brilliant.
it was too, it was too effective. Honestly, I worked with a nutritionist for the Connacht rugby team going back a few decades ago, for those who follow any rugby. And the nutritionist was brilliant. So she used to get the casein for them and the creatine for them and all the rest. And honestly, the before and after at that time, this is going back a couple of decades ago, the before and after that time in their performance was actually quite extraordinary.
Wow. Wow.
So now, oh my gosh, I don't think there's a sports team that doesn't take it because it's no longer banned
Yeah.
because they couldn't. Or if you just gave those rugby players loads and loads of steak,
Yeah.
they have high creatine levels, so they couldn't. But no, I love that one because it was probably one of the only food-based supplements, not a herb, not a
Yeah.
steroid, nothing
Yeah.
unusual, nothing weird or wonderful, food-based supplements that actually had an actual impact
Yeah.
on the performance on the field.
Yeah. Brilliant. Oh, well, that is definitely a reason to take it.
Yes, very reason they banned it is the reason you want it.
Yeah, exactly. Does it affect the kidneys in any way?
No, and this is again about 20 years ago. There was so much talk about this. It's sort of faded away a little bit as the research has hammered home that this isn't the case. Both protein and creatine were getting blamed for causing damage to kidneys. There is no research that I know of in the world that shows this to be the case. Now, there's no question that protein breaks down, and obviously all that urea and all the rest passes through the kidneys, and that has to kind of get flushed out and sorted out and so on and so forth. So the
Yeah.
kidneys may have a little bit more work to do if you're on a high protein or high creatine diet. But there is no research at all that shows, there's none, that shows it causes any issue with the kidneys. But if you had kidney issues, then you just want to be careful on any high protein or high creatine diet because you're going to be asking the kidneys to be working
Right.
when maybe they're under par. So you kind of want them to rest. So
Right.
anybody with any medical kidney issues, then it's worth just checking with a doctor or just taking lesser amounts, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
If you're on specific diets based on it, then you'll know yourself, I suspect. But if there's no kidney issues, then no,
Okay.
it's
And can it help
fine.
polym?
I have to say I don't. I'm honestly, now I'm not medical, I'm not a doctor. I don't know is the honest answer to that.
Okay.
We may need to research that and look into that
Yeah.
and speak to some people and see if we can come back to that question.
Yeah.
I don't, genuinely, actually, I don't have the answer to that one.
No, no
Uh,
worries. Maybe drop us a DM and we will come
we'll
back
look
to you
into
on
that and see if we can find
that.
any, yeah, speak to
Yeah.
some people, see if we can get some information on that.
Lovely. Well, I have covered all the questions that have come in and any questions that came in earlier. I know this is going to be a popular video for people to go back to because it's one of our most people are so intrigued by this product and wanting to take it, but like me, not always knowing just how
Yeah,
just how to or how much or all of that. So I'm sure this video will go down well. But we were talking about next week, and just for any of our followers listening, that we were hoping to answer a few of your questions next week. So Zana, obviously, what you work with people regularly on goals that they have or challenges, and so we would like to hear from people if they've got questions directly for you about any goals or any challenges or any sort of concerns or questions they've got with the nutrition supplements, that sort of thing. We'd love to try and get through a few of those next week. So anyone that would like to send us a DM, and I'll share it on socials as well. So yeah, the more questions we get, the more we'll try and get through.
exactly. Brilliant.
Lovely. Well, thank you, Zana, and thanks everyone for listening. And we'll be back soon.
Thank you.
See you
Bye-bye.
later. Bye.
Bye.